The volume is okay. So on to our next. Working on our solution. Last time we kind of went in to change the infrastructure. I think we want to change the infrastructure some more before finishing any other features. Simply because well, we're almost there in terms of the fun features. We have enough of this event model here to basically go all the way through to topic suggestion, and then the last thing that's going to happen, and actually voting for the topics in our conference. So let's just go back here again if you want to comment on the solution, etc. This is our suggestions here, and this is the event model for what's supposed to happen. So one of the big advantages of having an event model is it's better than a set of unit tests for changing your infrastructure or anything else. I can still go and piece by piece make sure each of these rectangles is working, no matter how badly I gut the code and change a paradigm or anything like that. I still have a very good way of checking that the functionality is still there. So let's go and look as to what we were trying to do. I think on Monday, 2 days ago, I started this suggestion live with with Jake, and that was really good. So let me just check if we're actually live here. I think we are. Yeah, okay. YouTube seems to be fine. I think that's the most important one because you can see the history of these recordings there. It's live on Twitch, TikTok. I believe it's live on TikTok. I just haven't bothered checking. Let me know if you can find this on TikTok. You can't? Oh well, I'll fix that up another time. So one of the things that we wanted to do is we noticed some interesting patterns here where if I go to the app and I notice that if I have something in, let's scroll down to something more advanced feature. Let's say it's one of these topic suggestions. I notice that I have my my data here, which I'm trying to add to my command, one of these blue boxes. So topic suggestion is actually over here. All right, so we have our topic suggestion here. You can suggest a topic, it gets stored. I gotta fix this coloring on these, but anyway, trust me, there is a read model here. I haven't fixed these yet, but so yeah, when I do press this action here, I have this this post for the topic suggestion. I have a whole bunch of distracting things, right? So first of all, the data that I'm collecting from the form is here. Then I have my actual command handler state. So basically this calculates, this switch statement and this reducer calculates what we had, what state our application is in by looking at all the previous events that may have happened in terms of topic suggestions, or whether the topic suggestion window is still open, if we have any business rules around when you can suggest a topic, and if the organizer wants to cut off a time that, okay, no more topic suggestions, please, let's just go and vote now. Those types of things would be in this part of the code here, looking at all previous things. We don't have many sort of invalid states here. We kind of we're very forgiving in this application right now, allowing people to just keep suggesting topics. We only reset that when we get a new conference started, and in fact, I think we should probably rename this, because this unique ID generated event. First of all, it shouldn't be an event. We don't have the word event in here anymore. I'm not sure where this came from. Yeah, this conference ID generated. So this actually probably doesn't work. At least the topics don't get reset. So if we had a second conference, we would probably continue to get topics from the previous conference, because this line would never run, right? And then we have a session submitted event. We really need just a session submitted. I can't believe I missed these. I definitely looked for underscore event, and but I had them taken care of. But anyway, I'm just trying to illustrate a point here where I'm jumping around from this part of the code to this part of the code. Then my invariant is here. So this is where, I have a business rule that says, hey, if I already had an existing topic, I can throw this error. And the errors are kind of here. So we have a smattering of like where all of this kind of goes. We also have an opinion as to where we would want to go later. So I think all of this can be tidied up, and this can actually float around a little bit, into too many places. So first of all, we have the infrastructure for the actual application in Express. We have HTTP specific wrappers. So we have an area that basically wraps the getting the token, access token if we need. And then we have the HTTP wrapper in case we have an exception thrown at any point for whatever reason. So if there's infrastructure reasons, such as we can't get the current events, then we will have a 500 level error. Otherwise, if it's a business rule violation, we might want to show that error to the user. So it's a 400 level status for HTTP. So we have all of these things being taken care of. This is the actual data that we use for our business logic. This is how we talk about our state. This is how we talk about our invariants that we apply to that state. And then this is the event that we return. So there's some jumping around here, and it gets worse when we actually have tests. So to jump from our implementation to our, so this is an example of where we have our unit tests. So register state change, that is testing this function. These are our errors. So we can see that the code is kind of flying around everywhere, but we're always doing the same thing. And of course the posts and gets are in here. They're kind of far away from the actual code that they're associated with. So I was thinking, let's make it actually sit together. Code that belongs together and changes together should be as close as possible. And this is where we started to look at removing the idea of an aggregate, but actually think of a command being the core sort of consistency boundary. And then I was thinking, well, we have slices that kind of repeat commands if we do that in multiple places. But even then, I see a propensity of using a command on different UIs for slightly different purposes, but yet we still kind of force it to be one command. So just like we want to encourage multiple models on the state view side, on the read model side, I think there's been an unnatural push with the beginnings of event sourcing, kind of, at least in the domain-driven design world, to have this aggregate and have a finite number of commands it can handle. I think we should actually go the other way and not even define a command. Leave that as as something that is dictated by what the intent is in terms of an action, and allow many slightly different commands. I think what we'll see is that the map of that we draw with an event model of the consistency boundaries will allow us to do whatever we want. So if we have maybe register user, we might have a register user from an email campaign. We might have migrated user. I don't want separate the same command used for all three cases. I don't want a user registered command. I want three specific ones because there may be different pieces of data that I capture in those. I don't want to start making commands that have multiple emit multiple events. I really want to have a proliferation of abstractions that fit the workflow perfectly. I think we've only scratched the surface of doing that, and I think this is where event sourcing and event modeling together will allow us to really have the hand-in-glove type of abstractions for what we're trying to achieve from the UX perspective, which is the most important perspective. It's really like how the system is being used, and if we have something that that answers to that, I think we'll be in a good spot. So let's see how we can do that. Let's start with some of the simplest pieces up here, such as naming the conference, because we have so we have the idea that we can now just say there's a whole bunch of actions. I was toying around with that, and then instead of getting this set conference name, we can start to comment this out, and we can say, okay, so we have this action here as the first one, where I can say, we have these endpoints which we can define with a method and a post, on error, on success. So we can do these types of things in here, and we can have something that calls that on its own. So instead of doing an app get in here, what we can do is we can start to work with something that that basically takes actions, and we can call this function as part of our setup when we actually run the application, which is down here. So if we start running the application, we can do whatever we want, such as calling set routes. Set routes, and then we can have our actions being passed to it. Okay, so when we have set routes being done, I'm not sure, we have some issues with our with where we closed our brackets and all that, our braces. So we have data, I think there's an extra one here. We push that. So I don't even know, I don't think we even want an action to have a meta command type. I think we can have, I think we can have the action name. Right? That's a command, and here we're going to just say, I had even a better idea. I forgot what it was, but something that says action name would be name the conference. Okay, that is, and the idea here is to obviously make all of these descriptions be really good. So it helps not just us. So the AI will sort of understand that when we have all these things, we're doing these specific actions to it. Like this is input data. Oh, I know what it was. So we have two slices, either something that puts data in, state change, or state view. We might actually have a better name for that. We have action name, and then instead of a type, because this is, again, leaning on CQRS and all these things, which we don't have really good stuff for, we're going to say direction. And I would like to say input. I think everyone knows what that is, right? We are changing the state, in other words, its input. So there we have a better way of talking about our solution. And there are actions, right? These are, we might call it, I don't know if actions are better, but there's steps, workflow steps. We want to remove ourselves from the idea that there are URLs in this particular case. So I don't know. I guess it is actions from the user. I may want to change this, what we call this, but you know, right now we can do a top-down. So you have the data, we have the navigation paths. I don't know if we want the endpoints or paths. We'll see. I'd rather have the have our invariants up at the top, right? So if I move the invariance function here, we can move that up. Now, why is there a comment? Okay, so I see there's exceptions, which is fine. And I think we were going to have some of these things. If there's some behavior that needs to reference the data that's in here, that is really, our invariance function would be the state and the data, unless we somehow, insert the commit. This is something that's quite interesting, because what if the state has the intent for the data? That's one thing that I was really thinking about. I think that's all we need. That should fix it. Yeah. It's kind of hard to articulate some of these things, but do we want to have the data passed in here as well? And the reason that I say that is, even for the direction of output of when we have state view, there is an opportunity to, at the event handler level, to have the data play a part in what we do here. So in the example of, maybe a specific type of flag that someone has checked off on the screen, we might be able to not pay attention to certain data in these events that we're handling. And not only that, we would be able to start to make use of better indexes that are optimized for certain operations, right? So that may or may not be the best place for it, but I think the gist of this would be that I now have an opportunity to inject all that I know about this action into anything that I want to do on any data at any point. I think that was a limitation of a previous event sourcing implementations and guidance, in that no, you don't get to inject anything that the command is bringing in when you're talking about replaying the state of the application. And I'd like to change that, or challenge that assumption, and say that, let's experiment and let's take a look at what would happen if I made that data available all the way through the chain of gathering logic, or operating on data, regardless if it's old events or anything like that. We can cache a lot of this. We can make part of the keys for the cache, the hashes of the data or whatever it is, and that should help us. Again, we have to be very careful in this case that we keep things as pure functions. So when we have timestamps and things like that, and metadata that contains, extra pieces, that we unwrap these things and rewrap them when we're calculating hashes, so that we have that immutable way of thinking about that. So let's take a look. I don't know if I want the endpoints here or if I want the paths here. This might be a bad name for this, but we have navigation with paths. I don't know if this is a necessary structure right now. I think we just want to keep it, very, very simple. So maybe we just have paths at the top and not do that, and just remove. I like this. So that, and again, here's another thing. Do we want? Do I want the paths down here? I kind of don't. I want to be, when I'm looking at an event model as to what I'm doing, I'm really focusing on what's happening here. And I'm also focusing on what's happening in our given when-thens here in terms of describing the behavior of successes and failures based on different scenarios and all that. And we still have to address the idea that we actually want to change this this diagram to really have the same structure as we have here, where our command object is really going to be the where clause, because, like I said, injecting the data here at the time that we're hydrating, that gives us the ability, like a real database, to look at our execution plan kind of and see which things in which items in all the different events that we have to look through, which ones we can ignore, which ones we can pay attention to. And even on the initial events that we feed to our various event handlers, obviously that data is going to allow us to have some custom logic to say, okay, if our data has this checkbox, I can ignore these types of events altogether. It might actually be a very GraphQL type of interface where we can say, here is the map of all of the events and their sparse trees of what they care about, right? I don't know if that sparseness is going to be down to interrogating the actual values within properties. I don't know if that's a good idea. I mean, we can certainly play with that later, where we really are not only dissecting events into their component, the properties that makes them up, but we can also dive into the properties themselves, whether they are, the data itself can be classified into other buckets, or whether we, have to push that up to the design level to actually have, different property names, etc. So pretty interesting stuff, especially as we explore kind of what the driving force between value objects and other things is. So let's value objects is a term in the domain-driven domain community. So it basically means such as things like, okay, I'm going to treat money as a decimal value, but it has certain concerns more than a decimal would, like how you round up or down in your application. And so rather than having, just a decimal, you kind of also want to name it that it's money. And so you have a type called money going through your system that's a value object that you use instead of just the primitive double that's native to your language. So, there's a lot of interesting concepts to look at here. But first of all, let's see if we can eliminate, get this application to still work by getting rid of this. So obviously, one of the first things we need to do is, we need the path, we need the view. We need the view, right? And we need, obviously, once we once we succeed, we need this this success criteria here, what we're rendering. So we always render the next name. So here we have the path. Here we have the view. But then we don't have the model, right? So we can say that the model that we give, actually, sorry, we're gonna have this on success is fine. We need an on error. And here, you know, we have, we don't actually have an error in here. We were, when we were implementing this, I don't think we had, actually we did have an error, sorry, we had an invariant. So here's our name conference change. So we're basically tearing this apart and putting it into a data structure instead with some functionality attached to certain properties, and essentially kind of thinking of, yeah, the command is the anchor for everything that we're doing. So now I'm not sure what happened here, but we wanted to add the tests. Yeah, we wanted to inject the set conference name. You know, this app post set thing was replacing. Oh, this is a get. Okay, so we actually don't want to do this yet here. That's too easy, right? And set conference name render. Yeah, that was our view, which I think is here. Set conference name. Yeah, it's this one here. So I think we want to not do that. We want actions. We want this to be the actual post of setting the conference name. I was embedding this entire thing into here, which I don't think I want to do things according to the framework. I think we can have the app.post and all of those things done by the helper function instead. And so this is a bit of a mess because we have a whole bunch of problems with our ending navigation. Okay, so that's just a comma. That should fix that. I just want to make sure I'm not running with any problems here. So that's closing which brace here? I don't even know. This is closing that one. So this is closing that one. And so, yeah, this goes back one here. Also goes back one here. So we have this happening here. And I don't think, yeah, I don't think we need, oh no, that's this one here. Yeah, but we don't need this, I don't think. So this actually comes back here if we want to keep it on that, but yeah, we got an issue here as well with how it's closing up because we have endpoints, and then this guy here is really, yeah, so we don't have a closure of this entire thing, which is we got the data and the meta. And so let's see, so we are, yeah, we got that, and we need the actual ending of the bracket here. That should be good now. We're still getting some red here because we were playing around with this thing here, set conference name, actions push. This is where we're injecting this whole thing. So there's just some things like, you know, tests, which I want to add, but not in this one. So yeah, we kind of tore this apart because we have all of these things here and we want to kind of use this instead. So we really don't want any of this. We want to migrate all of this into here. So error next. And I don't think that's how we do this. In fact, I think that's just handled by, we don't have any code. So I don't want to make up any new code. We just have to migrate all of this out. And error next is something that's always done for any of these things. So it does not need to be in our endpoints. What we do on success, this is something that I think we also, at this point, we only redirect to the next place. So we have an on success path. And I really want to move this off to its own way of dealing with state. I think navigating through an application is really going to show how things work in that world. So in this case, we can go here. And I think that is going to be enough because, again, everything else here is just generic. Set conference name, that is our data point up here, which is fine. And what do we do here? Yeah, set conference name is here. I don't know what happened with our state view here. Conference name, state view. State change. Yeah, I pushed all this up, didn't I? So I'm going to have a hard time to looking at what I actually changed because there's some bad code that I pushed up here. The conference name, state view. I mean, that's a pretty easy. That's a set conference name. Yeah, there's the state view, right? So I don't need to conference name state view actually exists. So I don't need to put this in here yet. I think I was starting to look at it as an object as well. Where do we have the next problem? Okay, so we have this. Okay, so we have another issue here with what we're closing and where. That is closing this function. And so we don't need this again, I don't think. Because we need a comma here, I believe. Yeah, nope. Send conference name. That is the invariant function, so we don't really need that. Again, I'm just cleaning up this code here. So in this case, I have result, thing like that. And this has to have a name, I guess. Data is this. Oh, I see. Moving this around. to be that error next. But we don't really need that because that's part of the infrastructure. Okay. I don't mind starting these from scratch. The error is generic. I don't think we need to have an on error here. There is an idea of an initial state function instead of data. So we have the data being passed in. Initial state, we might say that it is the data. Let's not use initial state unless we need to. I just like to, I don't need state here at all. So, and I don't need initial state yet. I'll just have event handlers. And then we can get rid of the wrapper for state because we know we're going to be doing state all the time. So that should be its own property here. So I just want things to be pretty simple. Right now we only have conference named event, which is fine. And I think that should be good. All right. Pardon me snacking. I don't think we need a collection of paths. I think we can just have the path. Don't have to have navigation. Even. You can just have a view, that, and the on success path. So I was thinking that if we can come at this from different URLs, we would have this as an array of all those, but we don't need it yet. So I can unwind this. And just have these sitting right at the top level. So actions push meta, we have the name. Now, do we really need this as meta? We're not treating this as anything else. I think we only need the data that we provided. So I think this is a good thing here. But I don't think we need a meta level. So we can just say, you know, it could just be the name. And the direction. So in fact, I like the direction of the action. That is an input. And then we have the name next. So we're pushing in an action into the system, where this is an action that's an input into the system. Let's correct the name here. So here we don't have the request, so the data has to come from a function, which we would always have as a request in this case, but not necessarily. I'm wondering if we can push this to a different level, but right now, obviously, we need to do this as a request. That. We don't have access to that at this level. And what else do we have here? This, on success, we have a path here. We have our event handlers, where we just keep and I'm wondering if this data is really necessary here. I'm trying to think. I guess it is. I'm going to keep it here for a good reason. Or maybe not. I don't know. Let's keep it minimal. But I know that we're going to have to, when we're doing the indexing, we're definitely going to jump into that level. So I have this direction here, which I'm second guessing. I'm thinking that whether we have you know, an output exception or whatever else, we might be able to ignore this direction. But I like it. I think this actually, and maybe we have this called slices. Let's just do it like that. Because now it's saying exactly what we have on the event model. So these are slices. We're describing what we're doing here. We do have tests in here, right? Test function set conference name. Okay, so that will actually put that test in here, and we're going to adjust our test runner to actually also pick this up from the slices that we defined, instead of just using our test collection here. And I think I'll do those first. So just see how that works. One bit at a time. Let's just get it to run, and we'll add everything else. So our invariant function. Let's not put the tests in yet. Okay. And so all of this slice tests, we might be able to get them to run, even though we split all this up, because we can do the event handlers and we can do the invariant function just fine. Again, this all this might have some better ways of working. State command. See, we have this command data. That's just not really what's happening. So we have state, and then we have the data. So we already have this idea that the data needs to be passed in like this. Which is okay. And okay, we have that. In fact, we could just pass that in, data and exceptions. State data and exceptions, although we, yeah, I guess we provide that in there. So return, and I don't want to, yeah, exactly. So here I want to do the exceptions like that. And so should get rid of this because we're not running code, and this as an extra one here. And meta is done, that's done, that's done, and I think that's it. Why is it oh, exceptions, yeah, perfect. Okay, that's right. So meta type exception, okay. And here we have type. Okay, so we're returning things here. So conference named, type is exception, and the summary is, yeah. So instead of relying on the language to throw, we want to return objects here. It'll make it easier to think about, at least in theory, it'll make it easier to handle all of this unwrapping and adding a better convention here. So let's put the, okay, I have a problem here because I have a type and a type. So let's type this event. And so now I need to have the name here. Name of the event. Okay. And so we'll have to map this a little bit better. Because our events are serialized to a specific way, which I think I like. Yeah, I even forget how that looks. Let's see. So oops, that's other scripts. I don't want to have to change any of these, right? So yeah, we have the data of our event, and we have our meta, which is just the type of the event. I guess we can strip those things. Okay, so I don't mind translating that. I'll let our new framework translate that. On disk, this looks good because this actually is in an events folder. So we know we're talking about events. We don't need to have that data repeated here. So it's kind of unwrapped in that case. So when we have the meta type event, then we take what we have here and we construct things a different way. So it'll be interesting when we first run this, because we'll be running some of our old functionality. So we'll have to instrument some extra stuff. But after we change the way the whole application works, we can take out the old parts and we'll be left with something a lot smaller. So these endpoints don't need to exist either. We have that. The method post, who cares? We know that that's input. We're going to treat as posts right now. So we don't need that at all. So we have our hydration. And yeah, event data name, that's good. We have a lookup of all our errors that we could throw. And then we have our invariant function that actually throws that or returns an event. I think that's all we really need. Okay. And so this app post, we have all of this stuff here as re-implemented here. So instead of app post, what we can do is call a function called handle slices. We'll move this up further. Handle or map slices. Yeah, map slices. And you could say bootstrap slices. I mean, okay, so we'll do that. And here we have slices. And in here, what we can do, slices for each. Okay, and so here, let's see, endpoints. Slice endpoints, no, we don't want that. For each slice, let's get rid of this stuff in here. So for each slice, what we want to do is we want to do an app.post. And we have a slice, yeah. We kind of have that. Yep. We can have a const for our yeah, we have an invariant function. So what do we do here? We had change state wrapper, right? So we had all this. We got the slice path we're getting from here, yes. We have that. Now we have a function to change all this. So HTTP wrapper event handlers. So we actually have a function to call each of those event handlers. This is a little bit getting ahead of ourselves here. So do I really want to use any of these? I mean, I guess I should. It is getting all events, which we still need to do. It is calling the state view, which we defined further down. But let's hammer it out from the beginning. So I think we don't need, since this is going to be called for everything, we don't need these helper functions now. I don't mind this code actually sitting here directly in what we'll be doing. So let's do it from the ground up. Okay. We don't need anything like this. So first thing that we do is we get events. So try, okay, so const. Actually, we don't do a post. So the first thing that we do is we need to say const app method is equal to slice direction post get. Yes, that's exactly right. And now we can do the app method to do this. Perfect. Okay, so slice path, that is what we handle. Yep. And do just some console dot. Yeah, so I think this will be something that's bootstrapping. That's what we do. Now, yes, so whether it's a post or get, we get that here. And I want things to fail quickly. When we have something failing at the bootstrapping level, we want to fail. So I don't care. We'll barf right away. So let's see. So we can bootstrap the slices according to what we push into the slices here, and then delete all this code, and that will, the application should still work. So in other words, this is that exercise of because we have everything isolated in each workflow step, I can take these liberties to just tear apart our infrastructure and try something new. I don't know if our posts, see, our posts are like this with this thing here, but our gets, don't have that. I don't know if that'll work or not, right? I don't know if that's going to cause issues with this. And I'm not sure if there's other, well, I guess we'll find out when we do this for something else. And obviously we can make a slightly different call, and then abstract the common parts inside. So we don't want any of that data here. I don't want to do the change state wrapper. So when we have this handler here, close that. Oh no, that was already closed. Okay. No, we do. We don't have our. We are closing that, which is our slice command, but we don't have one more here. So function slices, what are we missing here? Is this correct? Bootstrap slices. Okay, so then we can just call bootstrap slices. That should be good enough. What is the red on here? Why are we red? That's somewhere below here, isn't it? Oh yeah, this thing here. I really want to get rid of this whole thing. Result data equals blah, blah, blah. Behavior. Oh yeah, so this is really not what the original thing was, right? So we had this set conference name to do all this. So want to revert that change, I think, but am I going to lose a lot? I guess not. We have the same copy. Revert this change. That got rid of the red. Okay. But we still have this fun thing where we captured, you know, our view name. And we can go back to the post here. What we used to have where we pass in the data. You know, so yeah, so we basically have setting all this. I'm going to leave this here. This has no, this is purely navigation. I think I want an answer through slices for dummy things like this. I don't know why it wants to erase this, but it needs to be here. And this is slices. That's better. And let's just move this down here. Okay. And then we bootstrap the slices. Okay, so the app method is this. We want to, yeah, whenever we're handling handling anything, we have to get events. So const events equals, and then we do slice. Yeah, we have get events up here, right? Sorry, we do have get events, and we kind of want to do this wrapper that we do here. Yeah, we have the command handler which does all that, but we're splitting that apart. We're not really doing this anymore. So let's just start it from scratch. So we can do let events. And we could just get the actual function here. Do that. I don't know if we really want to inline all this, or if we want to leave it as separate functions. I kind of don't want to jump around. I want to know what happens when we're bootstrapping to, you know, what happens at each place. So let events equal nothing, right? And then here we can do try events, and I don't want to get events. What I want here is I want to unwrap this. I want to really easily kind of step through the code because I think we've done something good here. So I'm going to just take all that. Copy it. So we're decoupling entirely from our implementation that's going to run in the other slices. And this is all brand new code. So I don't want to rely on anything that we've written before. So this is what we're going to try is this. We're doing that. An event store, do we have? Yeah, we have it here. I guess I should have it as a const. And I'm kind of not too thrilled about the naming to be lowercase, but this is okay, I guess, for now. Okay, let's keep going. So we can say, instead of return, we can say events equals this. So we kind of unraveled that. That's good. So we have our events code. So at this point, we're good, and we want to have, yes, an internal error. I don't know why it's doing this other stuff. I really don't want it to do any of this other stuff right now. I just want the catch. That new error status return error next. Okay, so we have this idea that wherever we're wrapping the state change, we have this, and we're kind of copying this error next, but we're not getting the error next yet here. So we are getting that error next here, though. Okay, so I want to look at the other posts where we have more data, because I've upload none, and then do we have, I think we have 4 parameters on some of these proper ones. Post, no, we just have 3. Okay, well, that's good. Get, post, yeah, error next, that's all we have. So then we have request and response that we can return upon success or failure, which is fine. Okay, so that's good. So that handles it correctly. Okay, so we kind of have the events done, which is good. So now we need to apply our command handler for each. So then we go events. Oh, we should just try first, always wrap it. And we can have something helpful like console log dot getting events, just fine. Catch and all that. And then at the end here, we can say console log events count, like that. We can also number these, so that's 1, 1.0, 1.1. Perfect. 2. Sure, that's fine. Yeah, getting state. Right. So that's another interesting thing. We're kind of getting these events because currently we're not allowing anything to happen as we're getting the events, but I think we definitely could. Basically calculate the state as we're reading these events. But right now we're just fetching them all in a dumb way. But we can certainly mix these two later, and that would be a good exercise to kind of nest these things. So for each event, you can merge these things together. But for now, we'll keep them as separate entities here, a complete collection of all of these. So now we're trying to get state, which would be 2.1, 2.0 from events. These little log things actually do help the AI quite a bit. Now we will not be really relying on any of this code for the logic. And in fact, I want to move this to a library so that whenever the AI is looking at stuff, it's only ever looking at this. That's a very small context window for AI to look at. I don't want it to be swimming in this, polluting the context with this. I want all of the slices that I have here to be represented by these, and that's it, right? And we'll show how the tests, we will have tests. And we will have them as blank for now. But that's what we'll get to. What I want is really a nice, concise way of saying my web application that I've drawn here, that the business people and the product owners understand and everyone else understands. It maps directly to this data and code. And of course, we're changing as much of the behavior into data as possible because we are in a temporal event-sourced way of working here. So basically, that's what we want. But I mean, this requires the bootstrapping code to make sure that that we write this once and run it for everything in our application. And I kind of like the fact that we're removing a lot of this stuff here and just having it in one place. In fact, we'll see how we change the test, the running of the actual invariant that we don't want to throw any issues. In fact, we already have error next being used here, which is wonderful. So this slice already works for the error case. So in case we don't have we have a problem reading the stream or getting access at the file system or something, we already have all of this working. So that's good to see. So next we're getting the state from the events. So we don't know if we have initial state. I think we threw away the initial state for event handlers. In our initial one, we did pass something in, but again, this is a reducer. And I think we can ignore the fact that we have state. We can do undefined. And we should have our event handlers work with that properly. So I guess it's like, do we have our application have to run extra code for these things? Because we don't want to render this. That's wrong. We don't want to render this. We want the state here. Right, and then here we can do console log state. And here we want JSON, this in JSON format. That's fine. Error calculating state. That's a proper thing, right? Then we can do rendering view here. But actually, it's not rendering view. So let's Control Z that, because here we still have a, yeah. This is still a 500, I believe. Yeah, that looks good to me. Just double check if I got any emails going here. don't think so. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, if we have an error calculating state, does that mean, what does that mean actually? Actually, is this correct? We can just call them like that? I don't know. I don't think so. So let's at least I don't want to. I want to have a few more things in here. Because I don't want to remember I was talking last time about having a wrapper for the state where especially for read models, you kind of want to say, hey, these are the facts. Like I shouldn't have an error, but I can still log it. And so I want to do a slice dot event handlers for each. That's what I want. Again, this is how we could, you can see how we can inject these handlers being done at this point. Once we have the event here, we can just continue on to process it here. I really kind of want to do that, just not yet. Let's do that. So we're trying to do this, and I don't know if we need to do a try at this level. So actually we don't want the try here. In fact, we want to move this down here. We don't want the try here. We want the try to wrap around each handler. State equals what the handler returns, correct. And we pass in each event. No, we want an event. And for event handlers for each, we want to all. Come on, buddy. Look, we have an example here. We have these event handlers that have a state and all of that. So we have a name. And I guess we should have event type. That makes it easier. I don't want to reflect on and just call it function. Can I do it? Is that gonna work? Okay, I think that's better. So now we have state event for each handler we have state goes to that, and then we have handler. I see. So we have to look it up. Oh yeah, so we're not doing this. So this is stupid. Yeah, so we're not doing that. We have to do this for, let's erase all this. Ugh. This is the events dot for each event, right? So that's what we do. And then we do a then based on the event, we look up Oh, actually, that's bad because we want to do a lookup. This is purely a lookup, so we actually want to have a collection based on the name. So actually, that was correct before. So we want that, and then we want this to be just the function. We have the name and the function. So we're looking up the function by the name. And so we want to now, yeah, so from our event handlers, we select on the type of the event, correct? And then we call that with the proper event on here. That's it, right? So for each of these, we need to have to have a state equals. That's what we need here for each state equals. And here we need to have a try. Okay, what else do you want to do? Sure. But we're not ready to render the state yet. We need to try and do the invariant function. Result equal undefined. And here what we want to do is we want the result to be equal to slice invariant function state. Data and exceptions. That's that. And here we have a 422. I'm not sure if this is a 422. This is probably a 500. That's an internal error. Yeah, maybe 422. I don't know. I guess it's not infrastructure. But we could look at different... Not that I want to rely on the HTTP statuses, but it is a different error here. So, yeah, let's keep going. So this is kind of, yeah, 1.0 is we actually get our events. 2.0, we're calculating the current state of our world in order to then process our invariant or filter our stuff. And the interesting thing is when we actually prop up this data to actually live in further and further, higher and higher levels of these calls to be able to make use of indexes and all sorts of other things. So this workflow here, this deserves a UML sequence diagram, frankly, to just show how this infrastructure works. And then because it'll seldom change, I'm quite happy to have a UML diagram for this important piece for if people are curious to see how the SLAs are met and how we're caching and indexing and all of that. And basically we can take this as the backbone of how we're going to evolve our entire infrastructure and database replacement. So let's continue on. So now we have the invariant function. So let's log calculate invariance. Okay. Render slice view and then result. I think that's what we do. And data, is that getting it from the right place? We don't have data here, do we? This would be slice data. So in this slice, here's a problem. As we're adding this, right, so we have this, we have a data, our data, which returns this. Okay, so we have a data function, right? So we have to do this, which we can't really. Where do we actually have that? So we have an invariant function. Our invariant function takes data. We need to call that with data. Our invariant function will be called here. And the data we get out of our our slice, because we're doing this for each slice. And why are we... we're indented a little bit too much here, so let's just move back a bit. I believe that's the correct indentation. Okay, so let's see where we finish off. So we're done with this here, fetching all of the events. And then we're done with all of this here. And I guess I kind of want to move this here. And so we'll get this to work for the command, and then we'll get it to work for the event, because we'll be calling the exact same process here. And so here, at this point, we've calculated that, and that's a 422. Yes, we want to console log that, that we got that result. Sure. And if it's a state change, we render the state on success path view on success path. On success path. And what do we have here? Redirect confirmation, and we don't really have anything else. So we'll have to change this when we have the get function. But for now, let's just test this, that we can actually have this this render correctly. So bootstrap the slices. This is good because we only have one slice. It will call our app post. Paranoid at this point. App method. Sure. I guess I can just, I don't need that, but I guess we can bootstrap, JSONify this. Give us everything that we need, really. It won't show us the functions, and I'm hoping that it shows us these with just empties here. I think that's what JSON will do. Yeah, so no errors here, so we should be able to run this. And are we still actually running here? Interesting. I guess we're still running here. We have 33 sessions. Oh, wow, yeah, a lot of this testing here. So we had a lot of votes last time. So yeah, this code should work. Node.js. Nope, it didn't, which is fine. Lazy router. Okay, so bootstrapping slice. No change. Tests. 496. Cannot read properties. Lazy router. For each. Array for each. 490. application. Oh, it's computed for each. Bootstrap slices. 113. Okay, for each. Why is slices not working? So we do get this part. I guess we should have some more output here. Getting direction. It's probably this app method piece here. I think that's the issue. I probably need to add a helper method to decipher how to call this. I'm going to try something. Actually, I might as well inline them. So this may work. So app method is that, and then app method is that, because now we have the actual call here of app.post with the path next error succession. So what is our signature for app.post? So we have our path. We have our upload none. Okay, upload none, and then we have the function. So now we pass the function. Okay, so that's what we have to do. We have to pass the function. And then we have the action. And we don't have anything else, I don't think. So this post just takes this action. So it's got this actual route that it's handling. This directive for the forms, being able to gather data from the forms. Hey, Oysen, how's it going? Then we have our signature for basically throwing all that in. So that's interesting because this won't get, obviously, yeah, that's going to be passed in. It's that, so 3 variables there, and so app method, this, and then this, and then we get the action, and error next doesn't happen here, so that gets removed. You just pass in that. And so yeah, we can pass that in. That's perfect. So that should fix it. Nope. Well, maybe a different problem here. Running on Pro. Okay, so it is routes actions. Set routes is not defined. Oh, interesting. Why is set routes not defined? So in here we're running. Oh, set routes actions. Yeah, we're not doing that here. So we're running all this. Oh, I see. We're going to have a clash with this because we have the same thing here. Right, so post conference name, control / oops. Now we don't have that there. And now we have bootstrap slices. So we call it bootstrap slices. That's what the problem was. I could just call it bootstrap because it's slices, so we know by name that it's bootstrap. Call it bootstrap, and then go back up here. I want things to kind of read like sentences, so we'll just call it bootstrap slices and bootstrap slices. We don't have to call it here. We call it down there. So that's good enough. Now we have bootstrap slices. Bootstrap is not defined. What do we call this thing then? Oh, bootstrap, yeah, of course. That's it. Okay. Wow, it works so far. Set conference name, that should be a get. Okay, and now the moment of truth, can we actually call it conf 123? Continue. Not found. Set conference name, not found. So, we do have an error. 404 at, okay, so we're way down deep. We didn't find this at 103. Sorry, 83, 1083. And 83. Yeah. Roots. There's a problem with the roots. Which is understandable. So it's not. So I'm wondering if, app listen to port, and then it does all this other stuff. So we kind of want to run this up here. I think that's what we have to do. That this has to run outside this. So if that's running now, let's go back to this and go back here, and it's still not found. Okay. So 404 set conference name. So we have these set conference name, set confirmation. So it is actually coming up as set conference name here. So we do have because we spit out all of these routes. So we understand what that is. I guess we could do, to make sure it's the type route method. Let's see if that works. It's undefined. Taking a long time. Come on, cursor. Cancel, submit edit. Yeah, what is, okay, so we have route path, route method. Yeah, that's probably not gonna work. I think we have, no, we don't want that. We want R to go to, get rid of those log things. Oh, this doesn't sound right. Yes, I don't know what the stack has. App dot route. I'm gonna have to change that. I kind of wanted to see what the posts and all that are, but port route path. I don't know what if route has other things, so I guess I could do console log. I'm just that curious. What else is there? Methods get true. All right. Yeah, this thing is defined, but then we have a method. So stack is this, which has, so path is path and then stack. Okay. Find path, road path, return ACC, push road. So here we're finding everything where the path equals the route path. Getting the route. Oh, I see. The route has the path, which is here. Good. But then we have a stack, and then we have methods. Get. Interesting. I wonder what the stack is. So we have a stack. We can do route dot stack 0 method. And that'll be neat. The only problem is obviously there's going to be 2 stacks, I think, for something that does posts and gets. Okay, find it. Post. True. So far it's only one. I didn't make stacks. Just a post. Oh, here's one. Post and post. So why is this time slots has 2? Multer middleware and anonymous. Oh, that's weird. I have a problem with that. Do we have that everywhere else? No. This one has just get. This one just has get. This one has just get. Get. Well, we'll fix that other problem when we get to it. Okay. Okay, so now we at least know what that is. I can get rid of this this stuff here. So now when we run it, we can see that which ones are posts, which ones are gets. Kind of want it at the beginning, I guess, right? So conference name, set conference name as a get, which is wrong. So why is that? Just a logic error here on my part, I believe. Hopefully. Should be a post. So input should be a post. So what's our direction here? So our problem here is direction is input, name the conference. We have path, set conference name. We could just get this out and see if this actually fails. Because we should have a post. App post is all we need. We don't have to specify a post in the actual code, do we? No, post that, and that's it. So this should work, but let's see if it's just calling, if we have just an error there. Set conference name get. Okay, so it's still getting it as a get. Always the stupid infrastructure, isn't it? The framework that causes us issues. Okay, we have this as a get. We do have that, so we just don't have the post getting bootstrapping slice. Okay, so we have a problem somewhere here. Bootstrapping slice, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, that. But it is not calling this. It's returning this. It should just do a app post. I think that's the problem. Okay, so. And I think we have 2. Which means if we call the bootstrap function instead of up here, we call it first, we should have in the other order. I want to, call it up here before we get the get, for it to be the first one. Or just move that down below. So that should run here. And then I want to make sure that I get this default one later. I don't want to play with the silly indexes down below. Although I could. I mean, that could be a nice little for each there. Whatever. It should have set conference name for get and post. So not be lazy. Let's just put this in here. So we should have stack.map power reduce. Oh God, not that. It is going to reduce ape. The hell is going on here? Can't I inline this? I guess not. Sort of. I don't want to map, and I don't want to join. Get rid of that. I do want a nothing first. And I want to get rid of all this. Here. Now I want s dot method. If it doesn't equal undefined, we do ACK. We return ACK plus comma plus S method. And I don't really care. Find or not. That should do it. Not really. Just gets set conference name is still not getting the love it deserves. We have 2 posts for that time slot. That's correct. And here we want to do yeah, you know what? Ugly if I just do it the other way around. Send it to the beginning. But it's really weird that we are not seeing a conference name get in post. So we have voting. So we have everything that's running when we call this app listen. For some reason, we are still not running this. And is it because we don't have app? Should have the do we even call this? Okay, let's take a look. Bootstrapping slice, calling set conference function multi-var. Yeah. So we actually got here. And is the upload multer none? Yeah, that seems to be correct. Oh, that's a problem. Good God. No, it's still not doing that. I'm expecting it to be somewhere in here. So calling app post. If it had an error, it would error out. Set conference name, yeah. Hmm. And the action is totally what we want here. Why is the request not being used? This is where we make that, make our object here. Data name, body, that, yeah. That conference name. Okay, so that makes sense. Now we're using this, and everything here. Okay, that's good. Was that the problem, that it didn't have something? No, I'm still not. That is interesting. Well, let's see if it can answer this. Good old AI to the rescue. Why is the post route not getting added? Or that. Yeah, I'm looking at an end. I think it might be. Can you try to add the MCP server on cursor? I could. I don't know what for though. What do I want to instrument as a tool here? I guess I could for draw.io. That would be kind of neat. I'm not sure if we need MCP though. Recommended solutions. Since you already have a working implementation, yeah, thanks a lot. No, I don't want to do that. Let's see what the problem is. In your code, you're trying to set up the post route using slices approach with implementation that has a couple issues. There's a parameter mismatch for the function. Oh, there is. Oh, it's just path and action? Is that all it is? Path and action, but I have this upload none. I need to feed it some other examples here because I do have other posts where we need to pass in the multiform stuff, this multer non, right? I'm going to copy this. I'm going to re-ask it. Keep in mind that we need the multer to be able to get the post data early web submitted page. Example. I don't think it really knows the order in which these things are getting called. So yeah, let's see where that is. So So it's not even getting added to the routes because we only have the others in here. All the posts are not. Yeah, we only have a close registration post. We have a time slots post. That's interesting. We should have more posts. See, topics. So maybe that's a red herring. We actually don't have. We actually probably have that route, but it didn't work last time. So, oh, that's better. Expected end of form. That's neat. So this should emulate what we had last time. So uncommenting this would have worked. We have this request, that, and the error. We have the data coming in from the request body conference name. We pass in where we want to go to, and that's all done as part of this callback here. But we got some errors, which is kind of cool. Message unexpected end of form. That's kind of neat. That's a little different. So I kind of want to inspect what the heck's going on because now we actually are going through. So I want to uncomment this and just see what the heck is this route that we have, or if there's something that we kind of have to look at the stack of the router, right? So we have router.stack. Okay, so stack is everything that we need to know. I'm sure it's like a super big object. I mean, just look at it all, I guess. It's crazy large and gross, but let's do app.router stack, and let's just JSONify this console log and JSON this guy, and let's rerun it. So we have name anonymous. Here we have name bound dispatch. Nope. Routes voting. Okay. Keys. So voting has this Multer middleware, method post, anonymous, method post. So we do have the posts, but they're not. Okay, so we have it at the route for voting. We have a get, methods get, voting, methods post. So we have route, path, voting. So we have that. We have a stack, which has a post. Okay, so we have, that's really confusing here. We have a route, path, voting, and it has a stack, which only has posts. But we also have a voting route. It's also a stack, route, voting. I think it's in this thing. I think we're just reporting it wrong. So this is kind of garbage. So now I think we have it. I mean, why would it not work? So 120 upload none is not needed. I know it's not needed, but some other pages do need it. I just don't want to make a extra logic to see if something's posting and something is not posting. But it seems to be. By the way, Nanan, nice to see you again. It's been it's been a while. I think you're the same Nanan that I worked with 11 years ago. So I think it's working, but I am getting this other error. This unexpected end of form, which is interesting. So that's a different problem. I did have the multer working anyway, so like Nanand, why I'm after this is because I believe I put in the multer upload none into many other places. So if I look at how I'm dealing with this upload none should be the default that we have across the board, because we do want what that does is we can grab things from the request, like so, I believe. So I don't know if we have an error on this place or not, but I think I'm gonna just comment out the extra stuff. There is a problem with the way that we're showing these, I think, how this filter map reduces is working, because we are going across the stacks, I guess. Each one of these has this weird name, but then inside it has the route, and in there it has the stack, which has the method and all that. It's funny that it doesn't gather them together. I don't know how. Anyway, I'm sure there's some other weird middleware that this thing supports. Let's not bother putting out all this extra stuff. Let's rerun it and just observe our error. Even though we have that, go back and unexpected end of form. So that is interesting because that didn't happen. So there's something that's fundamentally different with how we're mapping all this stuff. I don't want that. Go up here and all this. I don't know if it'll realize. Really? That's it? Looking at the current app.js, I noticed there's a potential issue from handling the submit session and mustache template based on code snippet. Upload non-multi. Oh. It worked before. Oh, there's a double action, upload and on post. Oh, yes, that's probably what it is. Calling it twice. Stupid, stupid. I remember moving this up here. So, yeah, this app method doesn't need this. And because I'm calling it up here. Problem solved. Well, this problem anyway. Probably gonna have more. Just perfect. Okay, is not a function. Slice event handlers. The other problem here is that I'm not going to my next. I have this ugly error. So I have another problem. Let's go back here. Sorry about the flash of white. Return next error, new error. So event handlers is the problem that we have. So sliced out event handlers. And what do we have in our slice event handlers? No, we have that. Try that. Okay. And so why are we when we call error.next, so we have a try catch, yeah. Undefined properties name. I guess there's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening here. But wait a second, where's the last one that we ran? Meta type event is not a function. So this is a function. This is a tuple. I have a dictionary of that. Well, let's see what it says. There's a code base. Let's look at the error. And let's do that. But I just want to fail if it doesn't find it. So that's why I have to try catch. But I guess I should. I mean, that's better if I do that. So I mean, I could skip event handlers altogether. So I can do if slice dot event handlers equals undefined. I guess I can just return. But then I can do if slice event handlers meta type is undefined. I can also return. Okay, I guess it's just trying to blatantly call it as a function. But yeah, if I don't have the type defined in there, then it just returns. All right, well, and I don't think I need, I mean, I could put that in a try just in case. Right? Undefined reading name. Okay. Oh, we're getting closer to something. Events count. Okay, so we got into the change state. Cannot set properties undefined name 2, 1. Where's the name? Oh, state and event. It's actually calling the function now, which is pretty cool. Oh, sorry. And you're thinking that these are getting misaligned to the parameters. I don't think they are. I am stripping one of them on purpose because I do call it all the time. So this is missing this upload none piece because that always gets called. So this app method, which is the post here, otherwise it's the app get, which we don't have yet. I'm on purpose stripping that out of the signature because I always call it. That's why. Upload none as an action. No, so that it's not because I have the path and action. So that's the path, and the action is all of this, which is fine. Then to the actual post call, it's the path and action, but in between is the upload none, which just gets called all the time. So I don't need to bubble it up to this level. Set name. So I have an actual issue with the name here, which is good. So we're actually getting into the slice and state name, right? Okay, so that's, remember I said we don't need an initial state. So we can just add this to be more resilient, which is good. I don't like the fact that this, so I actually want the error to stay for now, because I need this. I don't want to have any try catches in here. I want the framework to say, hey, we had an issue with an event handler, but we have to take past events as fact, and so I don't want this to fail here. Maybe if it's a command, so that's an interesting thing. Maybe I do, but if it's a read model, I would not want it to fail. And so in terms of the direction of whether we're dealing with input or output, I want output. Yeah, I want this to actually, yeah, these event handlers. For each event, I need this to wrap it up. I don't want it to throw this. And this is error updating state. And this isn't an error. It needs to just continue. Should print that out, which is fine. We'll have other errors here. That's good. And we have, wait, I got a call coming in, so I gotta return. 1 second. Be right back. Okay, back to the fun. So sorry about that. Just some important phone calls. But I think we figured out a bunch of stuff here. We kind of have the guts of our function that we want. I think it's coming together nicely. I think we have this all of these things done properly here. And yeah, I think that's good. Error and invariance function. Okay, and now basically based on the event, we have the result meta type. You know, I can just switch this to be a case so it looks a little bit better. It should look a lot better. And so it has this redirect on success path here. It's not default. We want case event state or query. No, it's actually that's not what we want. Actually, we do. Okay. I mean, I was thinking maybe just look at the direction, and if we had an exception, we do something else. But I think that'll complicate things a little bit too much. So yeah, and then yeah, so we have a few things that we want to do. Here we want to push the event, which will be 4.0. Because that is going to be our logic from our push event. I do want to bring all this stuff inside into here. So push event. Yeah. How come we have? I guess we grabbed all that. So let's. Yeah, we're working on this a little bit more, but yeah, all of this stuff up here just goes away once we have this main bootstrap functionality. We'll be able to never look at it again. In fact, I eventually want to just push this to its own file. Let's fix up this code. So we have paste the event. We have let event type equals the result. I think this is result. And how do we push this out now? Because we do things a little bit differently. We have meta, type, event, and this. And so we actually have to map this a little bit differently where we take out this and we change the name to be event. No, just type. So yeah, we have a bit of difference here, and we also have the summary being passed back, which makes sense when we don't want to write that. So so the event, let the event type equals result, and then we have the meta name, I believe. Summary, we have the result. Tab. Yeah, I kind of want to Do we have the word event anywhere? No, we just have it here. So, okay, so I'm gonna make we might not need that. We do want the event type there. That's fine. But we want to let event equals, and then we want the meta to be, and actually we want data in here. Data, because this is the new event that we have. And then we do result data. The type is the event, so it's the name. Result dot meta name, I believe. And the summary is, yep, is that. So now we have the event. We no longer need to strip that because we don't include it. I believe that'll be fine. This thing works the same. We still look at all of the count of our events. Yeah, that's fine. So this is where we get, again, we're gonna have to rework this once we scale this out because handling the ID here is not. Yeah, sorry, Nanand, I had a call. I was on a call. That's why there was no sound. But sound should be coming through now. Let me just double check. Yeah, sound is good. Okay, so I have sound. But yeah, sorry, just gotta also check how my day is going on here. Double check that yeah, so I got some. Yeah, I have to double check my schedule. I'm starting some new work with new/old clients, which is nice. Always nice to have repeat business on all this stuff. Not that they really need us, they just need more hands on deck to just get stuff out and solve problems. So not like we're going in there to solve things breaking. Usually just helping maybe optimize some stuff, maybe do some more SLA improvements. It's fun. I love doing this stuff. Let's see. So that's still good. Event count and all that is good. Sequence numbers, notifying processors. This I think works well. I think we need to have it under a try catch for 400 error here. 500 layer. Yeah, I think we need this whole thing to be in a try catch. Let's do a try around all of this. I'm gonna get rid of that comment. And do I need to have anything existing outside of all this? I guess not. Error pushing event. Yeah, and I think that's good. If there's a core issue like this, we do want all of this to kind of bubble out and go to the new error. which is good. Don't know if this itself can really cause an issue, but yeah, well, this should give us our events being stored. So we'll definitely see it here. It does pop through. Let's run this. Still properly not reading name. So we got an issue here. Calculating invariance. So we still have cannot define undefined reading name. Yeah, so I think it's this 143. Because that's what caught it. State is undefined. So okay, so it's definitely the calculation of the state here, which is a problem. So we go back to where we have our state. If state equals undefined, then state equals that name, and then name equals. So I guess we can just do name equals that. I guess we could just put this on a separate line just so we have kind of the logic here. So if a state is undefined, then the state is this object with name. Okay. And then state name equals that. Oh, and then we're not returning state, of course. So then we just return the state. Okay, so that should be better. And go back, and now we continue. Oh, yes. Look at that. Meta type event state. Okay, no. So we have the wrong writing of, okay, we wrote the wrong event to the event store. So I'm going to do something you shouldn't do and just delete the, shrink all of these, shrink all of these fake events here, scenarios. So fake events are gone. Event stream, we look at the last one here, event 34, conference named. We can just look at it as well. So it's going into the meta conference named, but it's missing the data. So we're not writing out the data. Okay, so we're calculating this, but the invariant function has this return, which should have the, oh, we were in the middle of doing that. So yeah, we need data, and we want the name to be the data name, meta type event, conference name, etc. Okay, now we have to map all this properly. So I think it will be there. We don't have the, yeah, so this is the name of the event, the type event. And so here we're mapping that where we want to make the event, and okay, we're not writing the event. That's the other problem. So event count, sequence, string, write file, event store, event, and then we stringify the event, because that's the one that we want. The result we're using for coordinating everything, but we need to stringify the actual event here. And that's going to write out the proper thing. So I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to restart this. Watch all the events, and I want to see everything. So we have voted for sessions, kind of like where we were before. Let's break this and rerun it so we have the new logic. And now we go back and we do name it some conf. And so, okay, we don't have the name coming through. We don't have data either. So notice we have a data object here. So the event data and the result data is not really, what we have here. So what is our logic showing? Let's actually we can name this conference multiple times. Type conference named. Summary doesn't have the name. Nothing has the name. Okay, so we have an issue with our invariant. Where we want to return that's the exception. And this is not data. We want the, oh no, we do. We want the data name. So that's kind of what we, but for some reason, this is coming back blank. So we're not passing in the data correctly, where we call the invariant function. Or we're not calling the invariant function, are we yet? Oh no, we are. State, and then we have the data here coming in. And yeah, data.name. That's the wrong place though. This is our bootstrapping. We don't have this here. This has to be up here, invariant function. We need this as the request. And this would be the conference name. So if the state name is what we're requesting, then we have we have that. And then here we actually produce the proper thing. And our runner doesn't have this information, obviously. Our runner just needs to pass in our request. Because our invariant functions are going to take that data that's coming in. On our requests, since we're dealing with everything here, including the app methods, etc. So we have the full availability of everything. So let's try that again, see if we actually get that going now. Good, we have an error. That's good. Message next is not defined. 163. Sorry, 169. 169. Next is the error exception. We want the error. So we do have that passed into us, right? Method because error next. Yeah, it's error next. So and still don't have an issue. We still have an issue here. We have 35 of it. So everything's kind of working here. We have a problem with the state 2.2, still not giving us the proper state. So 2.2, the state that we do is through all the event handlers, this event meta type here. That seems to be catching the right one. But yeah, state is still blank. So it's not, it's conference named. So we do have our event handlers conference named, right? So we do have that. Event data name, yeah. Have our first one here, conference ID generated, registered. Oh yeah, we don't even have that on here. But slowly making progress here. Why is that next is not defined? We have to run it again, right? And not found. Okay, this is much better. So wow, that's just not found altogether. And it has an exception. Yeah, so for error next is causing an issue. But anyway, the state is still a problem. Actually, yeah, it is a problem because actually it's not a problem. We don't actually have a previous event that has the yeah, we never named this. So it's actually pretty good that we did this. We don't have an initial state. So having this this initial this if state is undefined to make it a blank name is actually what we do need. And then set the name to what this is. That's fine. And having state undefined if we had nothing here is correct. So, you know, the invariant function also should be, I think this is why we might have an issue. So if our state is undefined, then we need to do that here too. It's a little ugly, but it actually is a complete kind of realistic setting because our state calculation could return an undefined state because we had no matching, nothing matching in here. And in fact, I do want to get rid of this one more time and rerun it just to see if we get past that because I don't want to overburden this solution with things that could possibly never happen. State is undefined. Counts for event. Okay, so far it did everything, but it still didn't name this correctly. So where it ran this, so we're returning data with the name with the request here. So this name obviously doesn't isn't this name. And did we have the request? Let's just look at the old commented thing. Request conference name is in the request body. Okay. So the request, oh, body. That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay. So I think we can say that const conference name is that, and then just simplify it a bit here. Should be good. I think we want to rerun this. Delete this. I want to rerun this so we see new stuff. Okay, that's up to 33. Just rerun this. I think that should do it. Yes, so works. So state sumconth3, that's perfect. Okay, and we have all of the steps here that we're going through, getting events, getting state from the events, name testing. Oh, actually we did have one. I don't know that we set a conference name somewhere in the past here. Oh yeah, conference name. We did have that at the beginning. Data name testing, perfect. And then how do we store this? Data name conf3. We have the meta type conference named and summary sumconth3. This is very nice. And let's see if we actually have the proper name. Oh yeah, so even our file name is what we want. Okay, so the first task we take care of this way. We basically took care of all of our functionality for everything here. I don't know if we want to have any more data or logic here. It's kind of wordy. For something quite simple, this is quite wordy. I don't like that. I don't want to also rely on any error handling. So we'll always check if we have an undefined state and figure out what we want the default to be. Again, this might change, I think, with what Yurdis's comments were before. This is a rudimentary next step of trying to get, you know, all of our slices to be defined as succinctly as possible. So yeah, I think this will do just fine for now. I want to now see if I can run, you know, the rest of the application, because the event is stored correctly. So the rest of the application should continue to work. But before we do that, I'd like to just try and put in the rest of the maybe the read side now, because that's going to have, like, we're relying on some of these results here to kind of see whether, you know, our result type. And in fact, I don't think I need the meta level, because we have in our results The result is of a type, and the result has a summary. Sorry, here. So I'll always have data, which has ad hoc names that they will potentially clash with anything else. But I don't need meta here. Because I always have the type and the name in here. So this and the summary. So I don't really need the meta. I do need meta for my actual events, I think. So I'm just gonna make this a little bit easier to navigate. And so now I don't need the meta here. So when I'm writing the events, invariant function, I get that. And I have that here. I can look at the result name. The result type, starting up here. I can look at the result type, get the result, the name of the event, because the type is an event. That's that. And the summary comes through here. Fine. And then let event equal that type. That's event type. This should be just event type. Summary. Okay, and that's our structure for our events on disk, which is great. And we have our summary. And we have the event type and the summary here, and that works cool. That works just fine. Okay. Wonderful. And our exception, I think that's all we really need. We're not storing the event. So that's good. For our query, we're going to have to do the same thing. So in fact, our query, this is where we're going to need exactly the same logic. So this might not be a good case statement because we're going to be going through the same ritual. And I don't know if you can do yeah, so we're already doing both in here, which is fine. Date result. This is where, right, so okay, that's okay. So yeah, we're getting the events. We're doing all of that stuff in here. For each event, yeah, so we're doing a projection of everything. It's this part. Yeah, so we have, at some point we have this state, but we also have a result which we wanted to use for queries where we can do the filtering of specific records. So that works well for now. We can probably think of some smarter ways to not really have so much logic for really dumb stuff like this. I mean, I could really just make that into one line. I don't know if AI can make this into one line. I just don't like stupid things taking up to. That's just putting it on one line. That's not it. Use better syntax, not just. Yeah. Okay, I don't like that object assign thing. But why not? Oh, I know what you do next. We need to hook this up to the test runner, which is interesting because I mean our tests are going to be running it's not going to work. Going to have to run them through here, and we do have tests here, so we should be able to. Not too far. Where do we have the tests? I knew we had tests for this. Ah, here it is. Okay, so we have these tests, which we should be able to plunk in. And we really don't need the command, so we can actually make them easier. So I'm going to take the top one. We need timelines. We need the timeline name. We need the checkpoints. But I don't think we need the name command. I think we could have input instead of command and data. And on the query side, we could have the query there. So the one thing that we want to do goes back to the event modeling, because we're kind of changing something crucial here. And I think we can show it with the registration pieces, because where's the green? Do we have any green stuff for testing? No, we don't. So in here, we don't have a where clause for anything in terms of our queries. I want to find, okay, I'm gonna have to make a new test for some of these things that we worked on here. because we have these checkboxes, for the voting of the topics, what has to happen here is the state view has to take in what my registration ID, and that is the where clause, because it will now know which checkboxes to tick off. And we ran into that problem. This is what set us off on this journey, just because in order to test this, we really need these votes. I just want to make sure that we're on the right layer here. That model, yeah. We want that, and we want a query. So the issue is, currently we do something like this, but we actually want something similar to a command, but it is a query. And maybe the state view this is adding too many things, I think, because we really need this kind of view, where this would be a query, or we don't call it query, but we say, oh man, what is wrong with this plugin? Horrible. So it's not a query, but, you know, do we choose another color? Or do we have it as a command? I think we express it as a command for now. I'm all for simplifying things, and this actually makes this entire pattern look identical to the command handler, except that what we're doing is the command here is to transform our projection. And that, not really a query. What would it be called? It would be a filter mapper reducer. So be another reducer. So it's a further reduction into our reducer. That's just really screwy way of seeing it, but it does exist in an interesting place in the code. We look at all this. When we think of a state change, when we have input, an output would be kind of the same, because we would have, you know, the same event handlers here. We would be returning the function. I'm not sure if we would have a result here, but this is quite interesting. And I'm still not sold on some of these things, such as input. But then again, I don't want things to be too implicit. Because see, there's this data thing. That's our input to our command. But to our query, our and that's required from this. So we could have either data or filter data. So input data or filter data. I don't know. I'm going to keep it separate for now. But I really don't want a lot of code for these things. So, okay. Well, I think it's time for dinner. So I'll come back after dinner and tackle the rest. But for now, the application works. Except the tests. I think the tests would work actually because I'm not sure if it would work. We kind of got rid of the conference state change. So this is what. Oh no, that's not what it is. Set conference name. So we have this as our core logic still, which looks nice and tidy. And we only have that for initial state. And we have all that logic to initialize the state to some other crap. So I might want to look at this. I don't want a new method to introduce more code than this has. Right, this is infrastructure. So yeah, right now, this thing has to look at that. But where to put in the initial state? We have event handlers. I really don't want a separate property for initial state. So the question is whether we have initial state as just undefined all the time. And then, yeah. Because here for each event, we have this, but we could have slice initial state. Let's just do that. And let's just put that in. That way we don't really need anything else. And that makes, yeah, we ignore previous state. We just zap it. So we have no, yeah, to manage this, we really don't need anything. So we are ignoring it, which is fine. We don't need this line at all. Yeah, so deleting code is good. Whether we really need to have this line here instead of just request body conference name. Conference name. Conference name and conference name. I guess we do. I mean, it would be kind of wordy. I mean, why the hell not? I mean, it's another slightly more to read. But I don't like an extra line. And so we're just putting it in a few places, and we get to get rid of a line code. Yeah, and that's really 2 places here that it does that. I mean, we don't even need to have don't really need an object here, do we? State is just the name. Yeah, so the state is just the name. So we can just do that. And yeah, that is just returning out. So that should still work. If I run this one more time, go back here, should allow me to rename it one more time. Nope. Where did I go wrong? Reading type 159. That is generic stuff, so that shouldn't data name some conf type event name. Yeah. Reading type or 1. All right. Well, oh, right. We don't have meta anymore. Event. Result name. Type. Okay, I don't know where that failed. 159. Pushing the event data name sumconf for type event name conference named summary conf sumconf. Okay, so that's right. That's the result. So event type will be the name. Summary will be yeah, summary if it exists. Then result data will be the data, which will have name. Meta will be the that in summary. Yeah. That's interesting. So it did save it. Data names, and it's correct. But it's having some issues after. Cannot read properties of undefined reading type. We have, so that's where we're setting stuff. it wrote this. That's interesting. So it wrote that. Let's see if we can do another one. Still running. We go back to 5. Yeah, so it's running to 5 and still getting me an error here. So it's after this. Notify processors, is it? Why would it be a problem with notifying the processors? Oh, probably because of the types. Okay, so notifying processors. Now it's notifying the processors of the event, maybe. I think that's the issue, is that the processors don't really need anything except what actual events are on disk. They don't need any of the summary or anything else like that. So that is that should cause this error to go away. And if we go back and we name another one, add another event for 6. Yeah, that's good. So that was the issue. It was the notifying the processors. Yeah, that all looks good. Okay, so I am going to push this in. I can go eat dinner and then I'll come back after that and work on the state view and the tests. So I want to make sure that the tests are running with this new scheme, and we have a solution for our query. So we'll just dive into it. I think after I've had some food, I'll probably be able to think a little bit more clearly about how we just get going with kind of the end result in store, and then I'm still wondering how best to represent query strings that further filter out our read models in event modeling. And I think that'll be a really good excuse to have a event modeling 2.0 way of working, because I think that's always been a contention that we're not exactly mapping how the queries work. It's still something that the business wants to know, like how are we filtering out for this user? How can I show the data access and the role-based access control to data? This might be a really good place for it. So let's I'm going to come back to this and we'll solve the RBAC issue and fill out the next thing with what happens in case it's a query. I think we will probably have something that naturally happens here, where I think I can move these around and remove the break. I think there'll be further processing here. Or maybe we'll have to look at it logically with if statements instead of the switch, see how we can make use of everything here. So anyway, thanks for sticking around. Sorry about the little interruption there, but I'll be back later on to dissect this again. Just to close this off, our goal is to have each slice really give you all the information that you need, including the tests, so that as you're looking at the state view, the event model, and you're looking at the state views and the commands across here, then you find for every rectangular piece here, you find all the code here. So you have a very good mapping between the two. And of course, that would also include anything with the testing, which is expressed here in the same rectangle. Those tests would, of course, show up here. So anyway, just a few things to kind of figure out. See if this is all worthwhile. Our previous implementation was good. we started to really get kind of annoyed at some of the infrastructure code getting in the way. You know, here we know that we can have certain things like requests. I'm not sure if this is still the best way to do this, but we can certainly refine this a little bit more. But the number one goal is when we're writing new business logic, that we're not flying around up and down between too many different things in order to author that. And that's for two reasons. That's I don't want to have to jump around the code base to understand what's going on. And number two is also the context window for AI is smaller, because for each of those pieces, I have a standard way of expressing each state change and each state view projection of what the state is supposed to be. So if there's a standardized way, I can really just allow AI to fill these in for me, as I even provide a picture of what's in the on the event model. But as we get further, I think that that event model picture will be replaced by a JSON string that will kind of fit this, and especially with the tests. The tests will be just purely part of design. We're not going to be really running them for regressions, because we don't really maintain code. We just replace code. But we can allow the tests and the evolution of the data to dictate the state function, the invariant function for commands, and to define the event handlers, because we can show which relevant event handlers are at play. And this should get automatically filled in terms of how we think of state. So again, thanks for joining me. I will be back later on to continue on with the last couple of parts here. So I'll see you later.